Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to today's Vivid presentation entitled Mobile SDK Trends and Implications, Delivering Quality Mobile Apps with HPE Enterprise Mobile Center. Our presentation today is brought to you by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. I'm your host, Milan Danrell. I'm with Machine Data Systems. I'm the Toronto Vivid Local User Group Chapter Leader. And I have the pleasure of introducing two of our speakers today, Ronnie Sternberg, co-founder and VP of Business Development of Safe SDK, and Kim Yo from Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, who's the Worldwide Senior Product Marketing Manager for Mobile Center. Before we get started, we have a couple of live questions, polls to share with you. But if you're not familiar with the webinar platform that we're using today, and you want to get the most out of your experience, here's a few quick tips. First of all, the pod in the middle of your screen can be maximized so you can see more of the slide content. There are panels on the left-hand side where you can download any files that have been uploaded, and also chat to presenters. For example, if you have a question or if you are experiencing technical difficulties, we'll be able to help you there. And if you do have questions, there's a questions panel, Q&A panel, where you can type in your question, and we will have an opportunity towards the end of this presentation to answer a few of the questions as time permits. The panel on the far left-hand side, the toolbar, gives you access to ask questions and even choose your language of choice. So that will give you the Q&A panel, which you can use to type in your questions. So we definitely welcome all of your questions as we go through the material today. Before we get started, to help us present the right information to this audience, we have two survey polls that we'd like to send out and have your feedback just to get started. So the first question we have for you, I'll just read it off for you and give you a few seconds, 30 seconds to provide the answer. So first question is, how many mobile applications do you or your organizations typically release? And there's a few choices there, 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 10 to 50, or over 100. So please take a few seconds to give us your answer, and that'll help us steer the conversation and slide content for you. So we'll just take a few seconds. Please make your choice, and we'll give it a few seconds. So we'll see how many responses come in. Okay, for those of you who are just joining, we're doing an initial poll and survey of teams and organizations in terms of their use and development of mobile applications in their organization today. So please give us your response. And Ronnie or Kim, you may refresh to see if we've got everyone's answers or if we need a little bit more time.
Actually, I think we're good. It's Ronnie here. Okay. We see that there are quite a lot of HPE's Mobile Center users here, which is fantastic, okay, and major Great. App developers, anywhere between 6 and 50 apps.
Well, that's fantastic. So great. That's a good start. So we have one more question. So let's put up that second question to the audience, please. Okay, it's just coming up now. So the second question, this is a big one. What are the key challenges in your mobile application development and delivery? Is it time to market, cost, quality performance issues, how to manage the proliferation of third-party open source tools? So please take a few seconds to consider your answer and give us your feedback, and that'll help Ronnie and Kim with their presentation today. Okay. And Ronnie, do we have a quorum there, I guess? Okay. We'll just take a few more seconds.
Yeah, let's take a few more seconds, see what we have here.
Yes, obviously a lot more. We need obviously time to think, come up with the right answers, I guess.
Okay. Okay. So what we see is actually the big winner is how to balance speed of app release with quality. And the second runner is mobile user experience and quality performance, which works perfectly with today's webinar.
Well, that's fantastic. So thank you very much, everyone, for your answers. And obviously, if you have questions, keep in mind the Q&A panel at the left-hand side. We will carve out 5 minutes or so at the end of this presentation for questions. So please also stay tuned for that as well. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ronnie Sternberg from to give us the presentation on SAFE SDK.
Great. Hi. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Ronnie Sternberg from SDK. I'm the co-founder and VP Business Development, and we're actually the complete mobile SDK management solution platform. And I'm here today to talk to you about the risks of using mobile SDKs and how we collaborated with HPE Mobile Center to help app developers face some of these risks. But first, let's talk about what's an SDK. So this is Dave. Dave is an ordinary guy that develops mobile apps. And just like you and I, Dave uses SDKs, probably a lot of SDKs. Why? Because SDKs are great. They help him get his product out faster, receive insight on his live app, and get so much information, which is fantastic. And it's not surprising that a couple of years ago, we saw that there is an average of 13 SDKs in apps. Well, last year we saw this number already grew to 15, and now we see that there is an average of 17 SDKs in apps. Well, and this number, 17, by the way, is only growing. We see that all the time. Now, what you see here is that most apps use analytics SDKs, almost 90%. Analytics give app publishers knowledge about how their users really use their app and how they perceive it, which UX mistakes they might have made. It's really an amazing tool, so no wonder a lot of apps are using it. Also, advertising is in second place. Well, I need to tell you the truth. I can remember the last time I opened an app and didn't find some sort of ad in it. It's a great revenue generator, especially for first-time apps with not a lot of traction or users willing to pay for it yet. Third most popular SDK capability is, of course, social. We're in an era where everyone just wants to share everything with everyone all the time, so that figures. And payment, crash reporting, rewarded video attribution, marketing automation, there are so many more capabilities and SDKs used out there. One more thing I'd like to share with you. Some apps use a lot more than 17 SDKs. For instance, sports apps use over 19 on average. And games, well, games may use a little over 18 SDKs, but casino apps use 21 SDKs on average. And a lot of games apps use a lot more. We've seen apps, not one, not two, a lot of them integrating well over 30 and 40 SDKs. One of our customers, a game app, has over 70 SDKs, 70. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's a great app. And so you might be thinking, SDKs, fantastic. What's the big deal? Well, there is a problem. I mean, most apps use SDKs, a lot of SDKs, but the problem is that it's someone else's code inside yours, yet you are responsible for it. And if something happens with the SDKs in your app, your users don't know to blame the SDK and not you. Apple and Google find you to blame because it's your app and your responsibility. Now, at SafeDK, we identified two major domains of risks, security and privacy, and issues regarding quality of service, performance-wise. So let's start by talking about security and privacy. In order to talk about it, we must first understand where our main vulnerability is. Ironically, it's where we thought our strength will be. You see, the mobile world introduced a whole new concept to the idea of permissions. A user can now grant each specific app on his device the permission it requires. Well, I want to grant it access to the camera or to my pictures, or I don't. It's up to the end users. But this is where it gets tricky. There is no barrier between the app and its SDKs. The operating doesn't distinguish between them. So once a user has granted your app a permission, all your SDKs got the same permissions too, whether you wanted it or not. So here's an example from some Android SDKs we've seen too many times. An SDK that takes the user location, even though it didn't disclose that it needs it in the documentation. Well, the SDK can actually work perfectly fine without the access to location, but if the app gets the location, let's take it also. We'll do something about it. We'll use it for some purposes, internal purposes, sell the data, whatever it is. The bottom one you see is access to the email address. Think about it. If the app has access to the email address, all these 17 SDKs on average can access it too. And we see many cases when this is the issue. Now, if we look at an analysis we did of over 800 SDKs in over 200,000 apps, we found some discrepancies between what SDKs tell you they need and what they actually take. But what most surprised us, to tell you the truth, is what they don't need any permission to take. Over 16% of SDKs in Android read the list of apps a user has installed on his device. This is pretty much the most private information available. I doubt many people let their spouse know every single app they've installed. So imagine how they'd feel about some third-party tool taking it. And like I said, there is no permission in Android guarding it. In fact, all Google requires is that an app discloses this in its privacy policy. Of course, if the SDK never told you, how are you going to know to include it in your privacy policy? Now let's continue to a few more examples. We've grouped all personal information management, that's what you see here under PIM, P-I-M, into a single category. This includes user accounts, contacts, calendar, browser history, basically everything that's private. 4% of SDKs ask for one of these permissions, but nearly 10% of SDKs try to access the user accounts. And that's just accounts out of the list of things that I told you is included in the private information management. The last one I'd like to touch upon is microphone. Well, 3% tell you about it. Over 4% actually use it. We keep hearing about more and more concerns that our phone is being used to spy on us. And listen, in our most private conversations, well, I wouldn't go that far just yet, but I will tell you we're seeing our fair share of ad networks accessing the microphone. We're not exactly sure why they're doing it, but we just see it happening. And these breaches get apps in trouble. Remember when I said at the beginning the app is held responsible in the eyes of Apple and Google, where here is just a small selection of cases from the past year in which SDKs got hundreds of apps banned and suspended. A Trojan horse in Android app, an SDK that wrote little pieces of malicious code, adding bit by bit just to see how much it gets by Apple app review process. It's crazy, but it ended up stealing almost every possible private information about users. And if you think it can't happen to the big ones, just look at the last one, Baidu. That's a major company. That's a Chinese Google. It had its own SDK accidentally insert a backdoor that allowed any app integrating it to hijack the user device. How do we know? Because the only reason this exploit was discovered is that someone actually took advantage of this. Now, here's another example. Now, I don't know how many of you would actually integrate an SDK called Bad News, But this one was definitely bad news. 32 apps integrated this Russian SDK, and it reached well over 2 million devices. There was speculation that it almost got to 9 million devices. The app started with a harmless ad network when in fact it installed malware on the user's devices and started bombarding them with push notifications for fake news and fake app downloads. Crazy. The last thing I'd like to talk about is about kids' privacy. Well, another very important issue while developing apps is COPPA compliance. That's the Children Online Privacy Protection App. Everyone writing apps targeting kids knows that there are strict regulations. So this is about a Chinese app company called BabyBus, and it used some SDKs. One of them, Analytics SDK, that access the user's location. Well, Analytics SDK takes location. It makes perfect sense. But you're not allowed to take the location of your young users. Google saw that somebody's taking young users' access, the location, and actually suspended all of BabyBus's apps. It's hundreds of apps that was suspended from the Play Store, and Christmas Eve, not the less. Crazy. The worst that could happen to them. But I think I've scared you enough with all these security and security and privacy issues. Let's talk about quality of service. I'm sure as app publishers, you do your best to ensure the optimal user experience for your users. But sometimes SDKs can mess it up. So this is a case that actually got us our seed round funding. An SDK decided to use the Accelerometer to detect when the user shakes the device and pops up an ad at that time. So think about it. You're walking with your phone and reading news, and suddenly, bam, an ad pops up. And you close it, and you get another one. And it's the worst user experience you can imagine. Now, it was a super popular news app, which got so many complaints, and the damage was severe. So another very important issue is how SDKs sometimes impact performance. And you know, I can't undersell the importance of first impression. I'm sure I don't have to tell you how important that is. And how your app performs that first time a user just downloaded it and installed it makes all the difference. Here's one of the many apps we've analyzed at SDK. You can see here a breakdown of the app start time. Well, basically, how long did it take before the user got any feedback from the app? You know, before the splash screen, before anything, from the moment they clicked on the app till they saw something on the screen. Now, this particular app took 2.5 seconds to launch. That's a lot. That's noticeable. That's the time the user sees. It's something drastic. But the interesting thing is that the app itself was only responsible for 20% of that. Everything else were SDKs. In fact, 2 SDKs each took a third of the time, which is really astonishing. I mean, the app developer, the product managers, everyone worked really hard to get the app to launch fast. And then most of the delay was because of these 2 SDKs. Well, we run this particular app several times and starting seeing a change. Well, one of the SDKs shrunk in time. One of the SDKs that took a third before now takes only 7%. The time of the app, okay, it's less than 2 seconds. Start time is becoming better. The application is taking 40%, yet one of the SDKs is still taking a third of this time. Now, I won't bore you with all the technical details about why it happened, but I will say this, that one SDK consumed a lot of resources only on the first run, causing this delay. So while thinking about optimizing the long run, it still neglected to account for how it impacts the very important first impression. So we overcame the first impression, but the second SDK, the trouble wasn't only the first impression, it was the second impression, the third impression. Every time, it caused it did some heavy lifting every single time and continued impacting the performance. Now brace yourself, because the next one is real troubling. Who's crashing your app? Well, this happened to one of our customers, and that's one of the things that we find that it's most sensitive to app publishers. An app with over 500,000 active daily users had a popular SDK suddenly crash its app over 100,000 times in a span of 2 days. Well, this is crazy. And it was not less a weekend, so it's even worse timing ever. This means that over 10% of users experienced crashes. The story views for this app were truly terrible. It was like a fight of who can shout, "I'm uninstalling the loudest." This might be the biggest pain, as I said, because users might overlook some performance issues, especially if they're rare, but one crash, and that might be the damage you can't repair. I've never heard anyone saying, "The app is great, if only that SDK stopped crashing it." No, that doesn't happen. Unfortunately, users don't care it's an SDK. For them, it's always, that app can't stop crashing. I can't use it. I won't. And also very important, if you're showing ads. Which ads are you actually showing? Some might not be best for your users. Take a look at this web page not found on the first row. We've seen one ad network constantly showing this in an app. It was the 4th most viewed ad, and every time the app asked this SDK to display an ad, it got this error message. It showed the user this error message. Think about it. The user is looking in the app and gets this error message. Now, the user doesn't know it's an SDK problem. They probably think it's the app doing something wrong. Of course, also, there might be some ads not appropriate for your app. I mean, sure, ads are targeted specifically for users, but no conservative news publication really wants to show all those illicit ads. Gambling, girls just looking to have fun, and I swear, ads that just look like porn, I'm sorry. But once we even saw an e-cigarette ad in an app targeting small children. That's wrong in every possible way. So I'm sure that by now I must have scared you straight. You're all thinking, okay, I get it. I won't use SDKs ever. So no. SDKs are great. As I said at the beginning, they're wonderful tools that help enrich apps, get products out to market faster, and are truly beneficial for app publishers. But remember, Dave, he couldn't have done it without them. But there are just a few bad apples when we need to learn what to do about it. So what can I do to better protect your app and your users? Well, you can do it all yourself. Yeah, you can start writing every SDK by yourselves. It's the easiest solution, but we all know it's not very feasible. If you want to have a stable app live by the end of this decade, it's going to take you ages. Of course, you can go with the big and popular ones, the Googles and Facebook of the world. Turn down every great feature just because Apple and Google haven't gotten around to release it in their own version yet. Or you can ask your friends, rely on their past experience, their wisdom, everything. Well, that's why we've created SafeDK, the complete mobile SDK management solution. Our core product, the one you see on the left, is the in-app protection. We give app publishers control back over their app. We provide a layer of transparency over what the SDKs are actually doing in their app, how they impact performance, how much network they're consuming, which ad they're showing, network crashes. We show you all that and give the ability to control them in real time. Turn off SDKs if there is a critical bug or malicious behavior. We've also founded the SafeDK Marketplace that you can see in the middle, a virtually safe haven for app publishers. With thousands of SDKs, it's the largest database in the world for mobile SDKs. we've built a community where app developers can rate, comment, discuss SDKs, share the good, bad, and ugly experience they've had. And we've got another fantastic product, which is how we collaborated with HP enterprises. Our App X-ray lets you see which third-party SDKs have integrated with. So now when you use HP Mobile Center, you can simply scan your app with a SDK X-ray and see which SDKs you've integrated with. Make sure you're aware of all of them, that nothing got by under the radar, that no one cut a few corners without telling anyone. You get full transparency over your app. And we have a saying at SafeDK, when throwing a great party, be careful of any guest that might spike the punch. So thank you very much for listening. And before I hand it off to Kim, I'd like to ask for another poll question.
Yes, thank you, Ronnie. It's Milan. So yes, let's do one poll question here before we get into HPE Mobile Center, and that is, what are the existing HPE software solutions you're using today? Because it has relevance to what Kim is going to be talking about. Are you using the functional testing suite, performance testing? Are you already using Mobile Center, maybe an early version? Please take a few seconds to let us know if you are using any of the existing HPE solutions shown on the screen, or if you're not using any at this time, or maybe a competitive solution. So let's take a few seconds and get the feedback from the audience, and then we'll introduce Kim to talk about HPE Mobile Center.
Well, thank you, Milan, for the introduction. I hope everyone can hear me well. Let me give another second here. I think I've got pretty good responses so far.
Excellent.
And I'm very happy to hear that we do have a majority of you using the functional testing suite, our UFT and or LeanFT solution. There are also some of you using Mobile Center. That's really good. So I guess that will help me as far as trying to give you a good overview as well as sneak peek into some of these features here. So just to sum up, it's a good mix of users we have here. We have functional testing users, majority also using the ALM, performance testing, and a couple also using our mobile monitoring solution. That's great to hear. And for those of you who have not used any HPE testing tool solution, no worries. I'm going to give you a very good overview on how this works and how does the SDK scanning capabilities work in Mobile Center. So with that, I guess we can move on to the next section of this webinar. So good morning, everyone here, or good evening, depending on where you are at. My name is Kim Yo. I am the Senior Product Marketing for HPE Mobile Center. So what I'd like to do is, before I go deep dive into the SDK and show you how it looks like in Mobile Center, I want to just set a stage and come back to why mobile is so critical in our digital era today. As we all know, we are living in the age where end users have never been more impatient, right? I mean, we can ask ourselves, when any of the mobile app or web page crash, or it takes too long to show the content, none of us is going to sit around and wait for the app owner to fix the problem in the next release. Chances are most of us are going to drop out of the app or find something that will actually work the way we want it to. You have heard Ronnie mention about the issues, potential issues that SDK bring to both security and performance of the mobile app. Here are some of the more statistics that has been shown lately. 49% expect mobile apps to work in less than 2 seconds. 36% will stop using the app primarily because of heavy battery usage. 53% will also install or remove the app if it stops responding or crash. So really, the cost to the business is really high. As you can see in a different study here, 61% will not return to the site if they can't view it on a mobile device. 37% will shop elsewhere if a mobile site or app fails to load in 3 seconds. All these do have repercussions on your brand reputation, translating into lost customer revenue as well as erosion in our competitive advantage. So here's the feedback that we commonly see for an app. When we receive feedbacks, does this give enough information to our development and QA team to pinpoint the root cause of a problem? Or do we find that most of the time, developers and QA team will either have to downgrade the bug priority to a future release as they need more time to debug and troubleshoot, or even worse, they'll try to go in blindly and make a few changes in the hope that it will work, release the app, and then deal with the problem later if it resurfaces again. So the key question is, how do we deliver top-notch quality with great user experience and speed that customers expect these days? Here are some of the issues that we see when it comes to delivering exceptional user experience. It can be a very daunting task. Mobile apps need to survive the ongoing and continual changes of the runtime environment, new devices, new operating system releases. In addition to that, every user have different apps installed on their respective devices. The combination of installed apps can affect the behavior of other apps, even if they are seemingly unrelated. Each person may have preference in how their devices and apps are configured, from the setting and language preferences down to the changing network locations, gateway, and ports. Any and all of the aspects of user experience, as described here on the left-hand panel, from usability, battery resource consumption, security, network conditions, can lead to user frustration and app abandonment. So this is where Mobile Center comes in. Mobile Center is actually an add-on that extends the existing functionality of the HPE testing and lifecycle solution that you have. It allows teams to interact with real mobile devices, capture the key information, the device vital, snapshot video, measure the response time, and track availability of key transactions inside an app running on the device. Cross-functional teams from development teams, operations team, IT team can easily access this shared environment to build, test, monitor, and optimize the mobile apps quickly and seamlessly. Mobile Center actually gives you the lab management capabilities, as you can see here. It provides a one-stop shop to store all of your mobile apps versions and devices in one centralized location for mobile testing. Its lab management component helps handle and manage all the devices and emulators in use. Testing can be done very easily, either locally, on-premise, or over the cloud in as close to a real-world environment using the real mobile devices or iOS simulators. You could also do it through the AWS Marketplace and its Amazon Device Farm. Today, Mobile Center supports the testing on native, hybrid, and mobile web apps for the iOS, Android, and Windows. All you have to do is just plug in the devices and start recording and playback. So this is the life cycle that I would like to spend a little bit of time and explain to you why it's important. We believe that in order to provide top-notch quality app, this has to be done in a consistent, constant, continuous improvement loop, as you can see here. From building your mobile application to conducting the various forms of testing, monitoring, and optimization, Mobile Center provides you with this central platform to perform any of these activities. It integrates with all the HPE testing solution, as I mentioned earlier, and it also integrates with open source tools such as Selenium and Appium. And you can actually use this as a single gateway to all the critical components for your security testing, manual, automated, functional, or performance testing. When it comes to security testing, this is one area that's usually overlooked and not considered in day-to-day development and testing workload. Study has showed that the cost of security is very high, to the tune of, I think, about 5.4 million per data breach in U.S. So it's very important to tackle the risk of breach in security as early in the app cycle to avoid some of these damaging costs and reputation. So in Mobile Center here, you can actually perform security scan of your app before it goes into the production release. And as I mentioned about manual testing, you can easily plug in your device into Mobile Center, test the design, usability, accessibility, or localization of the app. Crowd testing is also another growing in use and importance. And there is an extended services in Mobile Center, which I'll come back and talk a little bit more in a minute. Mobile teams can also use the unified functional testing capabilities to real device testing, automate and accelerate the testing, as well as reuse the test script on multiple real devices. When it comes to performance testing, integration with existing load runner or storm runner load that you're using currently makes it very easy to execute performance load tests, identify the bottlenecks, measure real user experience earlier and more in the development lifecycle. And last but not the least, monitoring. We do have the end-to-end monitoring to help provide the quality feedback loop and improvement to the app. And the monitoring suite includes synthetic monitoring, real user behavior metrics to track user experience, as well as transaction tracing to the code and log file level. With this information, you can have better analysis, gain more insights into why our app earned 1-star rating versus a 5-star rating, and we can improve upon the user experience to increase the engagement and retention. So I just mentioned a little bit about crowd testing just now. Why is crowd testing is important? First of all, it is also known as the in-the-wild testing. It is the practice of sending out prototype software and products to broad groups of people for testing, as opposed to having test this internally yourself. So you can actually extend the coverage from your internal teams to professional testers, as well as external beta testers. With this crowd testing capability, you now have wider variety of people to test the product in a greater range of conditions, from the diverse platforms, resolutions, location, and languages. According to Gartner study, this crowdsourcing will constitute 20% of all enterprise app development sourcing initiative by 2018. So the benefits are a lot. You can experience higher time to value as testing is done by hundreds of people at the same time, and you get instant real-time feedback. Best of all, you can also, this is a consumption-based model where you only pay for bugs found, test cases executed, or devices verified. That keeps your costs down and under control, while you have the flexibility to grow your testing team exponentially as and when you need to. So now let's take a look at the Mobile Center. This is how it looks like. It's a very easy to use wizard-based UI. And I'm going to show you how the crowdsourced testing and SDK scanning works in here. As you can see here, all you need to do is upload any mobile app that you need to test, and then you can choose the combination of any devices which you like to test this on, as well as the OSs, whether they are Android, iOS, or Windows. From there on, once it's in there, you can actually maneuver over to the admin setting, and what you could do is on the far left side of the panel, configure your test project plan. You can create a group where you add as many testers as you wish to the project, how many real mobile devices and emulators to test on, make a reservation on the devices, because chances are it could be devices that's shared across different teams. And you can also specify the time frame when you want the testing to be. If you want to include security scanning or crowd testing services, all these can be easily enabled in that middle section you see there, where you just toggle on off and specify the services you want to include. So once you have this enabled and initiated, in the case of crowd testing project, you can see and manage this whole crowd testing project from the comfort of the Mobile Center console. Here you can track how many external users are actively testing the builds assigned to them, when was the last activity, and the associated issues found. You will have real-time tracking of the testing progress with full visibility into every minute spent throughout the testing process. There's also full video recording feature to view the exact steps done by the tester. We partner with Uber Tester to provide you with all the platform capabilities, and Mobile Center serves as the entry point to your crowd testing need. And the same thing similarly with the SDK scanning capability that Ronnie was mentioned about. We partner with SafeDK, and you can, in the administrative setting, enable this service. From there on, what you need to do is you can just use this. You will find that, once you get this SDK scanning going, you will find that, for example, in this case, 5 SDK contained in your app when you run a scan on the application. And then on this SDK, you are also able to tell if there's any one of them that has been deprecated. And then when you click on the deprecated SDK, in this case it's the 9.0 Android, what you're going to find is the description of the SDK, how many reviews and star it has received today, when was it last shut down. In this case, it was back in December 2014, and with no further development available from this SDK, you definitely want to remove this SDK from your app. So Mobile Center actually makes it very easy for you to manage all your users' rights and access. If your enterprise is running on Active Directory or LDAP environment, your mobile administrator no longer needs to manually add users and maintain separate set of usernames and passwords for access to Mobile Center. All user authentication and access can be granted automatically through the user's credentials. With the integration with ALM, with the ALM extension from Mobile Center, you can also now run tests of your mobile apps, including which devices to run on, directly from your ALM. When you choose an app and a device from ALM, you will automatically be able to execute the Mobile Center wizard to test access the mobile devices and apps from your Mobile Center server and post the test results in ALM. Now, some of you may say that I don't need this extensive testing capabilities. I'm just starting venturing into a mobile app. I just want to make sure I can do quick ad hoc testing. Again, this can be done very easily in our latest release of Mobile Center 2.2. What you could actually, just simply install, interact, and uninstall the app on the device via the lab management console. You don't need to install any client-side installation, and you can perform the exploratory testing, ad hoc testing for bugs without the testing tool. And also, you can inject photos, videos, or barcode images into your testing workflow very easily with this latest release of Mobile Center 2.2. So here's the life cycle that I was talking about earlier. Besides the different flavors of testing, you will also want to ensure there's end-to-end monitoring capabilities built into the whole improvement loop here. So in Mobile Center, there's integrated monitoring capabilities for you to do so, starting from synthetic monitoring to emulate application end users and devices, to measuring real user experience through their actual interactions with the mobile app, all the way down to the code transaction, specific log level, looking into the web and mobile users' transactions. All these can be done easily through Mobile Center. You can get 24/7 monitoring capabilities through the Mobile Center. And last but not the least, I'm happy to inform you also that in this latest 2.2 release, there are added flexibility to help you get started with Mobile Center. There are now 4 editions to choose from, anywhere from the Express to Professional, Enterprise, and Ultimate packages. So whether you just want to do basic manual testing on one device, or you have advanced functionality and concurrent access to multiple devices need, you can choose the license that best suits your testing needs. And with that, I just want to mention that There are multiple resources to help you get started, one of which I would highly recommend is to check out this mobile testing checklist. It gives you a good comprehensive list on what are the different areas to look out for and how HPE compares to some of the other tools that's out in the market. If you also want to hear more about how our customers are using some of these mobile testing capabilities, check out the on-demand webcast. With that, I want to turn this back over to Milan.
Thank you, Kim. Great presentation, and very exciting to hear the new developments in Mobile Center, especially for crowd testing and the integration to SDK. So we'll open, so a couple things. At the end of this presentation, you will receive a link to get a survey. We do request that you complete the survey to give us a sense of your impression of the webinar today, your level of interest and suitability for the content that we presented, so we can keep improving and delivering the kinds of content that you want. And if you do complete the survey and opt in to hear more about these solutions from HP Enterprise, you're going to be entered into a drawing for not only the Mobile Analytics Playbook, but also a complimentary 30-minute consultation from SDK. So Ronnie and her team will certainly be, I think, of tremendous value to your organization, especially if you're exploring how to better protect not only your applications from a reputation standpoint, but also your customers from obviously some potentially bad side effects in that sense. So to remind everyone on the call, there is a Q&A button on the left-hand side, which you can submit your questions. We've been taking a few questions here as we go along, but if you do have any others, please go ahead and submit them, and we'll take as many as we can in the time we have remaining. So I'll start off with one question that came in here. So with regards to SDK, can I use it before going live with my app to make sure the SDKs or everything's published okay with that tool? So can I use it before going live with my app? Ronnie, what would you say to that question?
Okay, so thanks for the question. I tried not to talk too much about SDK, so it's a great opportunity. But our actually solution is in real time when the app is actually outside on millions of devices, and then that's when all the surprises come up, because before you did all your fantastic testing, and a lot of it will be found in testing like HP Mobile Center, but there are things that just happen in different areas, different countries, when the app is live on millions of devices, and we give you the support there.
Okay. Another question for you, Ronnie. So if I've been using my app and everything seems to be fine, do I need SDK?
Oh, so so you've been using your app for a long time and everything's fine, but the thing is that SDKs get updated every month, 2 months, 3 months. So when an SDK updates itself, you don't know what to expect. And suddenly we saw from one of our customers, for example, that the SDK started accessing the location 6 times more than it did in the previous version, which consumed a lot of battery. So you never know when problems start. It can start after a year. It can start after 24 hours. So it's you're never really safe without it.
Okay. Thank you. This one actually could be either for Ronnie or for Kim. The security and SDK scans, are they free with Mobile Center, or is there a charge for it?
I can take this question here. Well, actually, when it comes to the security scan, it comes with unlimited scanning capabilities, so you are welcome to use as many times as often as you want, and that comes with if you're on the professional edition and up. As far as the SDK scanning, there's 4 free SDK scans that comes as part of the license. And if you need more SDK scanning, you're welcome to obtain that through the SafeDK website. There's a quick and easy button on that same interface, which I showed you earlier on, where you can just click and it redirects you very quickly to obtain the scan that you need. So it's all pretty seamlessly integrated.
Okay, so integrated and free and unlimited scans, right?
Correct.
Great. Question out here, and this I guess goes to you, Kim. Can Mobile Center run automated mobile tests in parallel across mobile platforms?
Can you repeat that question again?
Can Mobile Center run automated tests in parallel across mobile platforms?
Across mobile platforms. I guess it depends on what mobile platforms you have in mind here. It can run parallel in general, as well as you can have parallel execution of it with some of the open source scripts.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. All right. Let's see. I think, let's see. Another question came in here. So what's the licensing model for a mobile center, generally?
I think I alluded to that just now. Let me see if I can show you that slide again. Hold on one sec. I might have gone through too fast here just now. So basically on the Express Edition, this is that quick and easy, low price, quick entry for you to get started in mobile apps. So if you're dealing with just one or two mobile apps, a handful of them, and you want to just do quick, basic, exploratory testing or manual testing, or if you are currently using a combination of open source tools, such as Appium or Selenium that I just mentioned, Express Edition will work in your favor. It's very low price for one concurrent access to one mobile device. And then when you get the pace and feel of it, and as your organization grow in scale in your mobile application offering, you can actually have the flexibility to upgrade to Professional Edition. This is actually essential. The same license edition that we currently have in Mobile Center is just renaming to Professional Edition. You will get the same 4 concurrent access to 4 mobile devices, 2 network virtualization, 1 functional UFT, functional concurrent user, as well as a host of crowd testing, SDK scanning services. And the rest of it, the Enterprise Edition, Ultimate Edition, are the next step up as you need more concurrent access to it.
Excellent. Another question, is there a best practices testing guide or mobile testing guide available?
Yes. So there are a few. The Mobile Analytics Playbook is a really great playbook. If you have not checked this out before, we would be more than happy to offer that to 5 lucky winners here. That's one thing you want to check it out, as well as the testing checklist, which I have up here on the slide. Okay,
so the best practices guide is the mobile analytics guide that we the playbook, right?
Correct, and the checklist.
And
that will be the two places that I would love you to check it out and start with.
Well, very good, very good. Any other questions? We'll take 1 or 2 more if they can come in, and then we'll begin wrapping up with a few final slides here. So if you do have any final questions for Ronnie and Kim, please do send them in with the Q&A window. Okay. Well, if there are other questions, certainly we'll be posting this video that's been recorded out to the Vivid website and portal, so you'll be able to review it, share it, and also follow up with questions. So we'll give you a couple of days, minutes back to your day. So first of all, on behalf of Terry, myself, Ronnie, and Kim, we do thank you very much for attending our presentation today. Please remember to complete the short survey and opt in for more information about HPE Enterprise at hpe.org and also vividworldwide.org. And Oh, you know what? I forgot. You know, as well, in line with that whole opt-in question, if you'd like to hear more about product updates and event news from HPE Enterprise, please take a few seconds to give us your feedback on the poll that came up, and in a couple seconds, then I'll just wrap up after we get those responses. So Terry, do we have a few responses, or are they still coming in? Or Kim?
Milan, that's actually the survey for the audience, so they can take it and we can wrap up.
Well, fantastic. So thank you very much, Terry. Okay, so everyone, so again, thank you very much for attending our presentation today. Look for more presentations on the Vivid Worldwide website. They have a bunch of exciting events coming up, both web and in your local chapter. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful day. This concludes our webinar.